Alright guys, it's time to talk about COTI on the channel once again. Now the last time we talked about COTI was back on January 31st. And at that time we found ourselves a bit higher than we are right now, unfortunately. And yeah, let's just take a look at the technicals and see what is going on here. Now, this is the 4-hour time frame here. And you can see COTI has actually risen pretty well in the last, couple of days here. And I have this little parallel channel here. Let me put this on the hourly, as you can see it probably a little bit better. But basically, it is respecting this channel fairly well. It did try a breakout here earlier today, and pretty much, got rejected and fell back into the channel. But yeah, now the target, if we do break out of this channel, is up here at about 10.8 cents. So, and that takes into account the flagpole from here all the way, I think I did to right here, guys, to be a little bit conservative. So, yeah, that is the target for COTI. Now, let me put this like this. Now, we are making a little bit higher lows at the moment, so basically this would be the low. Here you have another higher low. Here is the next higher low. And yeah, we need to see kind of where we get a low, but maybe right here, this will be kind of a low. Although, actually, it looks like this might be a little bit lower. So maybe this is the next low, actually. And yeah, I think COTI is, on a nice way. It's got a good trend going, I can say. And I want to take a look at the RSI. Let's see how much strength we still have left in this move with COTI here. On the 1-hour time frame, now this is relatively low. We're starting with, wow, oversold basically here on the Stoke. It is pointed down on the RSI, and but it is pretty much in neutral territory, right in the middle, guys. On the 4-hour time frame, it is just coming out of overbought here on the RSI, and it is just about to move into, the neutral territory, just like this RSI just did. So yeah, a little bit probably overheated, I would just say, on the 4-hour time frame. On the daily, guys, it is actually pointed heavily to the upside on the Stoke, and a little bit pointed down here on the RSI, but in neutral territory, guys. So weekly time frame. Actually, it looks very good. It's very oversold on the Stoke, and it is pointed slightly down here on the RSI, but it is, right under the midpoint here of this little neutral zone. So, on a monthly time frame, let's take a look. Yeah, wow. It's actually getting to be oversold, and, on the RSI, it's just kind of in the middle, guys, and it is pointed up. So, month actually looks very good in my opinion. Week, not too bad. Slightly pointed down, like I said, but yeah, okay, it is oversold here. Daily time frame, it's coming up and slightly pointed down here, but yeah, this could easily move back to the upside. So these longer time frames look a little bit better than, for example, the 4-hour, which is overbought, and the 1-hour, which is pointed down, although this is oversold here. So yeah, the 1-hour is not too bad. We didn't look at the 15. Let's look at the 15. Now it is coming up, but it looks like it wants to go down here. So all in all, I have to say, if I'm just looking at that and recapping everything, I think COTI has more chance to move to the upside than to the downside, in my opinion, or at least go sideways. Now, everything depends on Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now is at 89,500, and I don't know why we're dipping again. The only thing that I can think of, guys, is basically we have a CME gap, and I will get to that in a bit. But yeah, we're losing a lot of this support here, and you can see that basically this purple box is where we have traded for the majority of the last, 2.5, 3 months almost now. So, we did dip a few days ago all the way back to about $78,258 dollars. Now, keep in mind the CME gap, down here, it still, I think, has another couple $100, not a couple, actually about $600 or $700 that it needs to fill, according to CME. Now, if I go to the CME, let's take a look here. I will show you this gap. So this gap that we just created is still larger than what we have from back here. Now, this is the previous CME gap, and here is what, 77,950, and this gap ends up here at about $78,635. So you're talking about about a $700 gap that still hasn't been filled down here, but we have a larger gap up here now. So we did start the day, we started to fill this gap, and right now we're getting a little bit of a bounce, but are we going to continue this little cascade until we fill this gap and then go up? That's the question, So have to wait and see. We also filled a gap here today. You can see there was a gap here. It was a small gap, but basically from the trading here today, we have filled it. So yeah, and there are other gaps to the downside that we do have. I think there's a gap somewhere, like, for example, like $9,000 or something like this. It'll probably never get filled ever, ever, ever. But, that's just the way it is, guys. Most of these gaps get filled. About 95, 96, 97% of these gaps do get filled at some point. So yeah, it's hard to say. I do honestly believe we might fill this gap. We're probably going to get a really quick movement down before we get another quick movement up. But we have to wait and see. Maybe this remains unfilled. But right now, it's not looking that great in my opinion. So anyways, let's go back to the chart here on Bitcoin. That was COTI. But we do have this resistance also. I want to just point out that this trend line, basically this yellow line, is what we really need to get above. And we haven't even gotten close to it really yet. We haven't been there since 21st of February. We did get rejected there. And yeah, last night we made it up to about this green line, which was a weekly resistance at about $95,170. Now, the thing is, we actually closed the weekly candle above this weekly support at 93,646. So that was amazing to see. But at the moment, on a weekly time frame, we are losing that. Now, it's not to say that we can't pull it back up, because you can see this amazing wick here got eaten up pretty much yesterday in just a few hours. So anything is really possible with Bitcoin. But right now, it is not looking good, in my opinion. Now, let's take a quick look at Ethereum. Ethereum is just, let's get rid of this mark here. Ethereum is just making, lower lows, basically. You can see all these marks here. It pretty much signals that this is just a lower low. And it's really sad to see that Ethereum is coming down once again. And, I am not very hopeful for Ethereum. I wish, Ethereum well. It's supposed to be the leader of the altcoins, guys, but it's just not leading this cycle at all. And we do have a similar trend line like we have for Bitcoin that it really hasn't met since basically beginning of February. And yeah, you can see that every time we get up here, we just kind of get rejected. Basically, the top of this Fibonacci level here rejects Ethereum. And you can go all the way back, and it's still, these two, little, what can we say, nodes or whatever, the trading days, let's just call it. There's a few days here that basically just gets rejected by this Fibonacci level. Now, we've only spent, maybe not even, maybe a couple of months above, where I have marked off, these little highs here, basically. And yeah, I mean, I don't have much hope for Ethereum. It's basically losing out to other better cryptos, which are doing similar things like Ethereum. I know Ethereum is kind of like the oil in your car, where the car is Bitcoin. But, you know, really, the oil is just drying up in your car, basically, in my opinion. So now let's take a quick look here at the total market cap, excluding Bitcoin. Now, what we often do see is a big run up really quick, and then you do see this dip, this cool down. So are we going to start, curving back up here and then break this neckline? That is a very real possibility. That happens quite often. Now, taking a look at the dominance, guys, it is crazy. I mean, again, if we look at this, so it was making higher lows along the way. We had this big fake out yesterday, and now we actually find ourselves pretty much making another higher low. So, in my opinion, not good. I really want to see this start to cool down. I'm just very, very tired of, going up here on the dominance. I know Bitcoin maxis love this, but I'm an altcoin holder, and I think many of you on this channel watching are altcoin holders as well. Maybe you own a little bit of Bitcoin or Ethereum, but yeah, guys, I mean, my entire portfolio is in altcoins. So yeah, I really want to see this start breaking down, especially below this trend line, and start closing candles below it. Now, taking a look at the dollar index, guys, it still is very high. You can see we're at 106 on the dollar. It's not good to have a strong dollar, for Bitcoin. This is the monthly chart, guys, but, we're pretty much at highs that we haven't seen, for a long time. Now, excluding the last cycle, at the end of 2022, we had this run up here. But, I mean, if you look back before this, guys, it's like late, the 1990s and early 2000s that you saw so high numbers. Now, it's not that high, but it's still very high. I mean, look where we spent most of the time in the last 25 years. It's pretty much below about 102, and we're sitting at 106. So we are very high on the dollar index. And even if you go back, before this little time here, many years here, we spent below about, 102. Like I said, I mean, it's crazy. It's really, we got to start, losing or dropping some of these levels here. Basically, we got to start losing some of these supports, I should say. And that would help our case with Bitcoin. Now, the liquidation heat map, you have about 520 million wrecked in the last 24 hours. More longs than shorts right now. And yeah, the fear and greed is at a 33. Yesterday it was at a 26, so we are heating up a little bit. I do expect this to go down, though, tomorrow. Now, I want to refresh this and see. Okay, it did come up slightly, but 22 is still terrible, guys. So, yeah, it is not altcoin season. It is Bitcoin season for sure. Now, the bull market peak indicator sell at the top, still 100% whole, guys. Still 0 from 30 have been hit. And Pi cycle top indicator, this is probably the best indicator. You can see that it still hasn't crossed yet. Now, economic news, basically tomorrow we have nothing. Wednesday, just some ISM numbers and S&P, PMI. We do have on Thursday jobless claims and a couple of speakers here. I think, no, one speaker it looks like. Okay. And on Friday, we have more speakers, and we do have non-farm payrolls. We also have average hourly earnings. So yeah, be aware of that. That's probably going to be the most volatile day, guys. Now, crypto bubbles, looks ugly. Pi is the only one that I see. Oh, Flare, okay. Maybe BitGet token is in the plus. But anyways, guys, if you like this video, like, subscribe, activate the bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one.